The following program has a thin plot, poor character development, and graphics that are so abysmal you'll think you stepped into a time portal and landed in the early 1970s. It's the Pearl Harbor of podcasts, but the much lower budget version and featuring far too much Amber Heard. With that in mind, I may exceed your expectations. Probably not.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Fine Program. I'm your host, Joe Neerman, aka Good Lawgic. I think I got COVID. I got the head stuffing and the sneezing and the coughing and the cloudy brain. Very cloudy brain. My head feels like it weighs like 20 pounds. I think I got the COVID. No one gets the flu anymore, so it's gotta be that. It's gotta be that. Not that I know anything about medicine, because I'm not a doctor. You need to talk to your doctor about what type of COVID treatment or any other treatment's right for you. That's what YouTube wants me to tell you, and I am. But yes, that's not going to stop me from being like high on energy. No. Because tonight's show is the last show of the week. We are in the last round of 3-day Jewish holidays. So just giving you all a heads up. I'll probably put some notice in locals about this as well. Maybe I'll throw another short up. Well, I'll try not to spit while I'm talking. Telling you all, there's not going to be a show on Wednesday night. There's not going to be a show on Thursday night. There's never a show on Friday night. And I'm going to try to be back in here on Saturday night. Probably going to be live streaming the Joe Rogan Donald Trump thing, although I'm not sure because he goes for a long time. He has long shows. Long shows. I don't know if I'm going to cover. I don't know if I'm going to cover that. I don't know. Which is why I was like, I have this science thing I definitely want to get to tonight, and it's going to take me a while to break this down for you all, because I am going to tackle science. You know that I cannot shy away from scientific fallacies, and I came across a doozy, which I was just like, well, that ain't real. That ain't real. I know it's not real. That ain't real. I'm saving that for the end of the show, okay? Because I know that some people really enjoy the science, some people not so much. So I'm saving that for the end. So I'm going to be covering first. I'm going to be talking about Kamala. Then I got a whole other bunch of stories going on in the news, stuff we need to talk about, we need to get down and talk about and stuff like that. I'm probably going to be using a few tissues along the way. I apologize in advance for that, as well as for the croaky voice. And I hope that doesn't keep you up. Those of you who are used to falling asleep to the sound of the normally dulcet tones and now scratchy, of course, all that other stuff. Yeah, so I apologize those of you who sort of look to this show, as you should, as a cure for your insomnia. If my voice is keeping you up, because I know that a lot of you are like, no, I just need to fall asleep listening to Joe talk, and that's cool. I think that I should probably be recommended by the APA as like the perfect tonic for insomniacs. I'm Joe Neerman. I'd support that message 100%. Yes. Anyway, I'm going to fight on through, but I am going to tell you. So yeah, we are coming to the last day's Jewish holiday. I do want to do service to my mom, because on the Jewish calendar, the day before this 3-day holiday, which starts at nightfall, so it started tonight and goes through tomorrow till nightfall tomorrow, is on the Jewish calendar. It's the 10th anniversary of my mother's passing. So we had a family gathering tonight for a little memorial for my mom, who was just an awesome and amazing woman. And yeah, so this is the 10th anniversary, which I was like looking around and I was thinking how different the entire world is today from the one that she left behind. Like it's so complete. 10 years ago, like Donald Trump hadn't even like announced he's running for president. Like think of how different the world was 10 years ago. It's crazy. We were so because it's the holidays Sukkot, so we have our celebration inside a sukkah, which is basically like a shed with a bamboo roof, but a big shed because there's there's like 35, 40 family members there. And I was saying to my brother, like half the people in there either married into the family or were born after she passed. It's like it's thank God. I mean, I'm thanking God. Like our family has had a lot of great blessings over the last decade or so. So yeah, I should raise a glass to. We don't really do the whole raise a glass. Well, we do sort of. Yeah, I should raise a glass. Raise a glass to my mom. My mom, who was the smartest woman I ever met. To this day, she remains the smartest woman I ever met. A very wise woman. A very educated woman. So, and yeah, if you met my mom, I'll tell you, I'll share this much with you also. She was someone who had a lot of grace and elegance to her. Never heard her swear ever in my life. I can't even imagine she ever did ever in her life. She had no, but she was very. She had a great deal of dignity, and she carried herself not with an air of superiority, but just a certain level of self-respect, where it's like certain things would be beneath her. She wouldn't say it's beneath me to do that, but you could tell that that's how she looked at it. And yeah, she and she was a teacher, and a scary teacher at that. She was like one of those teachers you remember long after you left high school. So she was a history teacher, and she I know she intimidated a lot of her students. She would give them like tough term papers and stuff like that. So I always worried. What was interesting is that like I always thought like people who like look at my mom probably look at her as being like a little bit cold, because she has this dignity and this refined type of, she would eat with a napkin on her lap kind of thing. Very old school in that way. And always with a napkin on her lap. And she so I always worried, like I always felt like no one outside the family really knows her. But then during the week of Shiva, which is when we when we're sitting in mourning for a close relative, so people come and visit, and we had hundreds of people that came through our house during that week, if not over 1,000. And I was very inspired to see that, they did see through what I always thought the public viewed her as being cold. No, they didn't see that at all. Like she just had a great deal of respect. And so many of them commented about her warmth that it actually made me feel like really, really good. Made me feel really good. So anyway, so it's my mom. Anyway, I know she would be very proud of this that I'm doing. I know she'd be really proud. She would really like this because she happened to have a very good sense of humor. Much better sense of humor than my dad. Much better. She loved my sense of humor. She would, in fact, I remember I was dating for like several years when I was looking to get married. And she was like, if you don't marry someone who appreciates your sense of humor, I'm going to be really annoyed at you. She was always very nervous that I was going to settle for some pretty vapid girl. And she's the one who she would use the term vapid. She had an extensive vocabulary. She used to read all the time. So she was very reassured. I was like, Mom, don't worry. I'm not going to marry an airhead. That's not going to happen. She was very, very nervous that I was going to marry like some basically like, some cheerleader type, like, not to denigrate on cheerleaders, but basically someone who was an idiot and that wouldn't really fully appreciate me. And I reassured her. And I'll tell you this much, she loved Lady Lawgic. She was like thrilled. From the day she met her, she was just like, I don't know how you got that one, Joe. So anyway, so it's my mom, and to those of you expressing well wishes and all that other stuff. So sorry for starting the show off with that, but I figured 10th anniversary, I should do her some honor. I should do her some honor. So didn't expect to do that when I started here, but anyway. So the upshot, though, of everything that you should take from all this is I'm not going to be here tomorrow night, Wednesday night. Not going to be here Thursday night or Friday night. I'm hopefully going to be doing a show Saturday night. Probably not going to end up doing Joe Rogan because it's interview of Donald Trump because it's too long. If he ends up doing Kamala, that's more interesting to me because I want to see whether he rips her apart. I'm much more engaged in watching someone being deconstructed than watching someone be fluffed. And while Joe Rogan may attack Trump a little bit, try and like poke because he wants to have an interesting interview, I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be too much fluff for me. Melanie hit me with the 20. No one heard that but me. Nobody heard that but me. With the 20, count them, 20 good Lawgic memberships. God bless you. Let's see who she brought in here. Let me just get this out of the way. First, I need to ring the bell for Melanie. God bless you, Melanie. You're awesome. Who'd you bring on in here? Who'd we get on in here? Oh, it jumped on me. Okay, who'd she bring in? She brought in Sunshine, Zena B, Sue Ellen, Stephanie. Welcome to the following: Netcat Media, Peg Pugini, Mo Lester, Kelly Cavett, Pinella. Pinella. It's been a while since I thought about Lou Pinella. Iowa's Backyard, two diamonds in the rough. Hey was gifted a membership. That's right. Hey, he's been here a long time. Kevin Clark. Hey, look at that. Kevin Clark does a whole reading for us last night. Kevin Clark ended up being gifted. Welcome to the following, Kevin. Tammy, Michael Kramer, Toxic Zombie G, Shelly R, Adam Holbrook, Lisa Ann, Nana 1776. All you, welcome to the following. Please bear in mind the following is not at all a cult type of cult. There's no Kool-Aid, no mandatory sweatsuits, even though it looks like I'm sort of wearing that thing that everyone wore in that Squid Game thing, but not mandatory. Not at all mandatory. Mild farm work, no virgin sacrifices, no goat sacrifices, no squirrel mutilations, no stabbing yourself with the jabby jabs, no dancing around bonfires to the beat of a tom-tom while shucking off your clothing and going, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey. It's not at all a cult type of cult. It's just about personal growth through community, unity, and leadership training. I should know, not because I'm the leader of the following, but because I'm the host, just a host. Anyway, those of you who were gifted courtesy of the very generous Melanie Heideck, I would appreciate if you can express your gratitude to her because she certainly earned it. God bless you, Melanie. Thank you so much, Vince Clark. That's very kind of you. Breaking, Kamala worked the drive-through window of a Planned Parenthood. I start thinking that they have. They do so many a year. Honest question: when Kamala gets a cold, does she stop? Take zinc. God bless you, Melanie. Take zinc, it'll help. I always hear Z-Pack. Well, this is certainly not medical advice. You're just spitballing here. Spitballing. But I'll take it under advisement. Thank you. That's what lawyers say whenever they don't want to give a response. I'll take it under advisement. So I just treat it. That's what they say to other attorneys when they don't really want to say anything. Not COVID. You just described the cold wimp. No, there's no such thing as a cold anymore. Everyone knows that. Not that I'm giving medical advice because what do I know? I'm certainly not a doctor. All right. Oh, one more. If New York City had Jewish mugger as a police artist sketch would sound look like Joe today. Give me all your bagels. Give me all your bagels. And don't give me any of your Michigas. I don't need you to come and sugar on me here. Just give me all your bagels right now. 2 for $1 special over in Mendy's. I want to share this with you here because we're not talking about Joe Rogan, and I had this little clip up here for a moment. So let me share this with you because this was funny.
How dare we speak Merry Christmas?
Listen to this crazy woman. This crazy woman. This is not recent. This is obviously from a few winters back. These are ghosts of winter. This is one of the ghosts of winters past. Ghost for Kamala, certainly. This is great. This is a great moment here Joe Rogan found.
How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
Merry Christmas, everyone.
How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
Oh, my God. That is such a classic Kamala right there. Such a classic Kamala. Mary. Oh, dear. So much passion, so little substance. So much passion, zero substance. That's basically what she is. So much passion, zero substance. I'm going to share with you all something that's bothering me a little bit right now, besides this nagging, not at all COVID type of COVID deal I'm dealing with. Something else that's really bothering me is I've told you frequently that when I'm preparing a show, I'm really doing it through the course of the day. I'll be scrolling through X, and when I find something, I'll sort of put it aside, drop a link to myself, and then I'll just, when I want to start actually doing the show setup, so I'll just click on all those links and just boop, 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 and pop them all open, and then I'll just sort of try to organize them. And so I found this. So several hours ago, I took down this link, and then I click it open now, and I'm getting this. This is what I'm getting. This page doesn't exist. Nothing here. No, I want what I saved. Why is it gone? That post has been deleted. That's not cool. That's not cool. I don't even know what it was. I don't remember anything about this, and I'm never going to know. This bothers me because it was. I'm very selective about what I'll click to send to myself. Very selective because I don't want to bog myself down with stupidity. If I'm on the fence about whether or not to save it, I usually will say click no. I'm usually going to swipe left on it because I'm like I know I want to know that what I have there, those links are golden, and this is very disheartening because I have no idea what this story was about. I don't remember John Basham. Maybe if I see his face, I'll remember what it was. Let's see if I see John Basham. I don't know who John Basham is. No, I don't remember this at all. He follows me. I don't even know who this dude is. I'm following him. Why did I start following this guy? Who are you? Who's John Basham? What did he delete? What was it? Was it this? Was it this?
Look, Elon's on that stage, jumping around, skipping like a dipshit on these things. You know it. Look.
I remember seeing a video like that earlier today, which I did not save. And I was thinking, I almost responded to this when I saw it, because I'm like, this guy literally comes out on stage. Does he not see himself? How much lacking in self-awareness can this guy have to criticize Elon Musk for coming out and jumping when literally this dude will come out there? He's like, let's go. Do a little kick thing going out. This is the weirdest politician in the world. And he's the guy saying that Elon, the richest guy on earth, looks like some sort of dipwad because he came out there jumping in his only appearance ever at a rally. Doofus. Sorry. Before I was freezing and now I'm really burning up. So, yeah. Definitely not fever type fever. Not at all fever type fever. But I don't think this is what I saved. I don't think this was it. Anyway, so it's a pet peeve when things that I plan on putting aside are gone when I come back. But I had one more funny thing I want to share for you before I get into Kamala's disastrous story here. It's people finishing settling in here. This is the worst moment. This is I need to apologize to you in advance for what you're about to see. We're about to see Kamala sing and dance. Dance? That's right. You might not have seen it happen before, but this is her version of it.
A presidential song for anyone. One Nation Under a Groove by Funkadelic. One nation under a groove, getting down just for the funk of it. Can I get it on the... A presidential song.
Why does she
for
laugh
anyone.
at stuff like that as if something funny happened? It's the weirdest thing. Why? What is she laughing about?
One Nation Under a Groove by Funkadelic. One nation under a groove, getting down just for the funk of it. Can I get it on the...
She looks like she's under cardiac arrest. This is I'm sorry. I have to do it one more time. This is the last time, I promise. That's dancing. That's singing and dancing. It's a regular Al Jolson.
A presidential song for anyone. One Nation Under a Groove by Funkadelic. One nation under a groove, getting down just for the funk of it. Can I get it on the... A president.
Okay, I promise that was it. So that was it. I'm not doing anymore. I gave you 3. You also recommend zinc. It helps you when you're sick. Oh, all right. Well, now I got 2 reliable sources telling me about zinc. Wait, so what does that mean? And this is not medical advice. I'm serious. I'm really not giving medical advice. When people say this, though, what do you mean? You just go to I go to a pharmacy and I'm like, can I get zinc? And you just pop zinc. Really? Is that what you guys mean? Because I've heard of Z-Pack. I've taken a Z-Pack twice, and that stuff was like miraculous. I think Z-Pack saved my life when I had COVID 2 years ago. Also, not medical advice. Tim Pool announced he's going to be a father tonight, so can you get a toast to families and kids are a blessing? I don't know what's going on with Tim. Every 10 minutes, what's happening with this guy? What's happening with him? Yesterday, it's like, well, IRL, this may be our last show ever. Every night, he's got to top himself with bigger news. Now he's going to be a father. Do you talk about the mother? You talk about the mother? I'm happy for him. He's not married. So I don't know if it's really a toast to families. The kids are a blessing. That's true. It's nice that his girl's given him a kid, I guess, if he's happy about it. If the kid's going to be taken care of properly, that'd be great. He certainly seems to have a financial asset for it. So that's good. And he seems like he's pretty well grounded. So hopefully he'll be a great dad. Here's to Joe's mom and to all those that we, the chat, have lost. A cult Joe Neerman circa 2020. She would. I'm saying right now, that thing which I came up with the concept of, it's not at all a cult type of cult. That is exactly the sort of thing that she would love. I'm telling you right now, she would get a tremendous kick out of that. So Tim Walls hates people on the spectrum. Is that surprising? That's the first thought I had. That's the first thought I had when I saw it. So I was like, there's no black person would ever look that bad at trying to groove to a song. No one. That's just no. And here's the thing I want to be very clear about. Some folk will say that that's a racist thing to say. And I've talked about this, I think, once before, but I have not brought this up in a couple of years. I do not think it's considered racist. Because for a while, people were trying to pretend that it's racist to describe an ethnicity as being spectacular in a particular way, or uniquely talented in a certain way, or uniquely capable in a certain way, that they sort of say, "Oh, wow, that's stereotyping. That's very racist of you." It's like, no, that's not racist. Like that's like, just it's Norwegians don't like complain about the whole thing. Oh, it's very racist here. You think that like all those Swedish to just refer a Swedish woman as being beautiful. Very racist of you. Very, very. That's not racist. That's not racist. Means derogatory. It has to be derogatory. So referring to black people as being uniquely gifted in a particular way, whether it's in sport or in athleticism or in rhythm or in entertainment, that's like the stupidest thing for anyone to refer to as being racist. But it also means that she's not black. Everyone knows she's not black. I'm gonna have to do this a couple times tonight, so get used to it. Al Johnson versus Apt. If you know, you know. I don't. Did she really? She joined the Republican Party? Someone shared with me breaking this story about Kuntz shooting Hawley's opponent in the senator race, shooting a reporter, which I don't think that's really as much of a story, but it was also like a breaking, this just happened type of thing. So she joins the Republican Party. I don't know if that's really big. I don't know if that's really big news, to be honest with you. Interesting. It's interesting, but I think a lot of people smell that. I think a lot of people smell that coming. Oh, that's great too. So all sorts of great news. That's wonderful. That's nice. I don't know who Allison is, but she seems like a lovely young woman. Agreed. She doesn't have a large either. Adam's apple? I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean. I don't know what any of that means. All right. Anyway, let's get into the story. I want to start by talking about. I got a whole bunch of stories for you. I want to start with this one. Let's talk about Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. So there was a whole story about her plagiarizing in some of her work before. But not apparently the plagiarism that we learned about in the past, it just got a lot juicier, a lot more extensive. This is a woman, and the reason this is significant is because much like the whole story with the McDonald's, this is a woman who I have no problem with people who are lacking in career achievements or accomplishments or something of that nature. A lot of people just don't have like a well fleshed out CV. That's okay, as long as you're secure in it and you're like, okay, I don't really have a really lengthy CV. I'll tell you right now, I don't have a really lengthy CV. I'm okay with it. But this is a woman who like tries fleshing out her resume for the public to accept. And one thing after another, we're learning, well, that's crap. Well, that's not true. Well, this is crap. So here's a woman who has lied to us about basically saying, coming from a middle-class family where she spent her entire life in private schools, which I'm sorry. If you're in private schools and traveling around the world, that's not a middle-class life. That's not a middle-class life. I believe I qualify when I say I grew up in a middle-class home. Okay? I believe I grew up in I believe that people would call what I grew up in as being a middle-class home. And I did go to private school, to be fair. I did go to private school. But that's like because we were Orthodox Jews, you sort of have to go to private school. It's like your parents would scrimp and save everything they can. And you'd be driving around. We were driving around in cars that were, 8 to 10 years old. There was always one car, not cars. It was one car that was like, 5 years old, 8 years old. I don't remember. I think when I was growing up through like my childhood, we had 2 cars, until I turned teenager. Like each of the cars lasted like 10 years. A house that my father raised us in was like, you know, I think he paid like, I don't know, like $100,000 for it, and had like a 40-year mortgage to pay it off, and was living on a public school teacher's salary. And my mother was working as like in a private school, making less than him. So, yeah, I think by most definitions, that's your classic middle class family. In contrast, she apparently is flying all over the world and going to pretty ritzy schools. So, and I also don't believe that you're meeting the likes of Montel Williams and Steve Harvey, whatever other jet setters that she's hanging out with, when they're in their prime. If you're like in the middle class, you just don't end up. You're not rubbing elbows with these people. You're just never going to come across them unless you're hanging out with rich folk a lot. You just don't come across them. It just doesn't happen. So yeah. Anyway, the rich folk tend to hang out with other rich folk. That's just the way. That's just the nature of the beast. Anyhow, so I never believed that. I never believed anything about her saying. Maybe she didn't grow up wealthy. I'm not saying she grew up like, a millionaire, but I think certainly very, very upper middle class, if she's calling herself middle class. And then all the stuff with her resume, what she did as a prosecutor, and terrible things that she did with respect to keeping men in prison longer than they should be. All these questions. I saw there's a whole article, if you go into our locals at goodlogic.locals.com, so entry required, shared a whole lengthy thing talking about how she may have cheated to get into law school and got into a program that she wasn't really eligible for. All these different things with her. And now, I mean, everyone knows about, basically they call her knee pad Kamala because of the way she got these different juicy appointments to being a DA, to getting the Democratic nomination to become a senator. All these different elbows that she's greasing, when she doesn't seem like she has really anything interesting, novel, creative, or insightful to add to a conversation. And if you say something like that, people try to pretend that you're being racist or misogynist or whatever like that, which is the stupidest thing in the world, because there are plenty of black women who have immense accomplishment. Not that she's a black woman, as her singing and dancing proves, but there are plenty of black women who have immense accomplishment. And to say that she's got value because of her skin color or because of her freaking ovaries is an offense to every black and woman who's out there. That's the biggest offense in the world. That it's like, oh, okay, whatever you do doesn't really matter because you got ovaries. It's the stupidest thing. That's the most misogynist thing in the world. If you can't criticize someone or criticizing someone who's a woman someone throws up a shield of, nope, boom, estrogen zone here, estrogen zone. That's the most offensive thing you could say about women in the world, because you're basically saying like, no, they can't take actual criticism. And I think that's actually a very offensive thing. And I won't stand for it. I won't abide by it. So, and the same thing obviously goes with respect to race. It's the stupidest thing in the world. Anyhow. So now, newest scandal with her is the plagiarism. And the plagiarism is being exposed as being far worse than anyone actually imagined, as broken here by Aaron Sibarium from Beacon. Is it Free Beacon? What's he from? Yeah, he's the Free Beacon. Co-host of Institutionalized with Charles Flamen. And his DMs are open. All right. Well, here's Aaron Sibarium breaking this down, saying exclusive in 2007, Kamala Harris plagiarized pages of congressional testimony from a Republican colleague. And in 2012, she plagiarized a fictionalized story about sex trafficking, but presented it as a real case. It's not just one book. It's a career-long pattern. It's not just her stupid autobiography. No, she's plagiarizing stuff for her work in Congress. I mean, look how she's lifting just word by word this story here. In 2005, the National District Attorneys Association Office of Research and Evaluation, National Association of Prosecutor Coordinators conducted a national survey. Prosecutors, even using the same word national over and over again, of prosecutors on law school student loan debt and associated issues. Researchers received 2,119 responses from prosecutors all over the country, most of whom she corrected. Hers is actually more correct. Most of whom graduated from law school between the years of 1998 and 2003. Worked as a prosecutor for an average of 4 years. Now, survey results revealed that more than 50% of the reporting chief prosecutors and supervisors had between 1 and 5 prosecutors leave their office in 2005. This may seem like an insignificant number. However, it becomes quite significant when you learn that 64% of prosecutor offices that respond to the survey were comprised of 10 or fewer assistant prosecutors. The end result is that attrition was 50% or higher in the responding small offices. In addition, 53, I mean, look at this. Look at this, line by line. She adds this little paragraph here about public defenders. I don't know if she got that on WikiLeaks or whatever. She got that on Wikipedia. Let's go on to the next one. This is, oh, that shouldn't have happened. On April 24, 2007, Harris testified before the House Judiciary Committee in support of a student loan repayment program. Virtually her entire testimony about the program was taken from that of another district attorney, Paul Lawgic, of Winnebago County, Illinois. I mean, look at how much stuff she's. Let's say this as. Look at how much. Look at this. It's just on and on. Literally word for word. Unbelievable. Doesn't even bother changing any of it. Cuts out a paragraph, throws in an and. Instead of writing medical/dental, medical and dental care. I mean, this is pathetic. This is just pathetic. Even sharing examples, following are just some of the comments from New York prosecutors made during a student loan survey conducted by the Office of the Queens County District Attorney's Office Information Services for March 2001. Illustrating their dire financial situations. My wife and I live paycheck to paycheck. I can only afford to pay $400 a month. This payment does not cover the interest. Therefore, my balance keeps going up. I mean, literally, line by line. Line by line. I'm treading water until I can make more money. So she adds in a proven and sound loan repayment assistance program. There you go. And she comes in with this suggestion here, and she throws in 2 sentences at the end as a career prosecutor, just tying herself into it. And on behalf of the nation's prosecutors, I strongly believe that John R. Justice Prosecutors Defendants Incentive Act is a wise and urgently needed investment. This is pathetic. This woman's pathetic. But it doesn't end there. Harris devoted approximately 1,500 words to the program. Nearly 1,200 of them, or 80%, were copied verbatim from the statement Lawgic submitted to the Senate Judiciary Committee on February 27, 2007, 2 months before Harris delivered her testimony. Both statements cite the same surveys, use the same language, make the same points in the same order, with a paragraph added here or there. They even contain the same typos, such as missing punctuation or missing plus. One error, a who that should have been a whom, was corrected in Harris's transposition. The main difference between their testimonies is that Lawgic submitted his to the Senate instead of the House, and unlike Harris, Lawgic is Republican. Passages of some of the most striking cases in which Harris, a former senator and state AG, appears to have plagiarized in her capacity as a government official, lifting large chunks. This is not just her private books. This is in her work. She's plagiarizing and doesn't give credit to others. She's just like, oh, let me just copy and paste here. As just this now, you wonder how she came up with her policies. That she's like, oh, what's Trump saying? I can copy and paste that too. She's copy and paste Kamala. That's what she is. That's how she got by her entire career. Is she's copy and paste Kamala. So it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that she's copying and pasting Trump's policies to the extent that she possibly can. Appears to plagiarize in her capacity as government official, lifting large chunks of text from other attorneys and in one case from Wikipedia without attribution. The examples have not been previously reported and range from paragraphs to pages. Several appear in reports that Harris published as a California Attorney General. The post she held for 6 years has made a centerpiece of her campaign. With just 2 weeks to go into Election Day, the new examples could undercut key parts of her campaign message as it navigates tightening race. Harris has sought to portray herself as the candidate of honesty, integrity, by touting her record prosecuting child sex crimes. So as California's Attorney General, she didn't just copy boilerplate language without attribution. In one of the lengthier passages reviewed by Free Beacon, she lifted a fictionalized story about a victim of sex trafficking and presented it as a real case. So not only is she stealing stuff, but she even takes works of fiction and says, this is what I dealt with. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. This one I think I have. Yeah, this one I do have. Let me pull this open for you, this one. Let's look at this story here that she wrote. A community member met a distraught young woman in the bathroom of a restaurant near her office in San Francisco. So she took Washington, D.C., what the story was, a fictional story, and she wants to bring it closer to home. So what does she do? She's in California. So she changes Washington, D.C. to San Francisco, because she's shady, slimy Kamala. So that's why she says, so let's bring this home to San Francisco. The young woman, Kelly, said that she lived in a motel. You can read along on this side, and I'm going to be reading from this side. You can read from the Polaris Project. I'll read you from Harris. Confided in the woman that she had secretly saved $200 so she could leave the situation, but was afraid of doing so for fear that her pimp would come after her. So she said she lived in a hotel where pimp forced her to engage in prostitution. She put aside $200. Pimp said they're going to come after her. Kelly asked the woman for help. The woman was unsure what to do, but had seen a poster for the NHTRC, the National Human Trafficking Resource Center. Recommended Kelly call the hotline. Kelly had to leave as her pimp had arranged for her to meet with a client that evening, but asked the woman to call the NHTRC on her behalf. She also saved the NHTRC hotline number on her phone. With the help of the NHTRC, the woman connected with a local service provider to make a plan for the evening and coordinate emergency shelter in case Kelly needed a safe place to stay that night. Kelly, there is no Kelly. This is all made up. But Kamala presented the story as if this actually happened. Kelly called the hotline later that evening because her pimp was nearby. She was unable to speak for very long, but she gave permission for law enforcement to be involved in helping her leave. Early the next morning, law enforcement helped Kelly safely leave the hotel and connect with the service provider. Kelly is currently receiving services and helping law enforcement to pursue a case against her pimp. Never happened. Never happened. But she's going to make you think this happened in San Francisco. She presents this as like a real thing. Unbelievable. The story came from Polaris Project, a nonprofit that runs the National Human Trafficking Hotline. By June 2012, the project had posted vignettes on its website that were representative of the types of calls the hotline receives and meant for information purposes only, not that this actually ever happened. But it is the sort of thing that we sort of envision happening. To preserve confidentiality, the project said key details like names, locations, and other identifying information had been changed. So maybe this did happen to someone, but wasn't her name? The name wasn't Kelly. But in November 2012, Harris included one of those vignettes in a report she published on the state of human trafficking in California. This is what we're dealing with in California. This happened to Kelly. Don't you care about Kelly? Though she said the story was courtesy of the hotline, she copied it verbatim and did not acknowledge that they contained fictionalized material. The only detail she changed was the location. The Polaris Project described the young woman Kelly who had been forced engaged in prostitution, was rescued by law enforcement in D.C. But Harris is telling Kelly had conveniently moved to San Francisco. Very conveniently, she picked up and found a different pimp over in San Francisco. It's the same story, but this one happened in San Francisco. Maybe it's two Kellys. Maybe it's just like a crazy coincidence. There's a Kelly in Washington, D.C., and Kamala knows a different Kelly from San Francisco. You don't know that didn't happen. You don't know that could have happened. That could totally have happened with the whole $200 and calling the pimp the next, and the police helping them out the next day. This all could have happened. The change effectively gave Harris credit for a rescue that never occurred, at least in her state. O.H. Skinner, Arizona's former Solicitor General, said the move reflected a common perception of Harris among legal officials at the time. She was never viewed in the Attorney General's community as being an intellectual leader, Skinner said. It's very on brand with that reputation to hear now that she was repackaging stories from other locations as though they happened in California. The story from the hotline wasn't a one-off. In a 2010 report on organized crime, Harris copied several passages from Bill Lawgic, one of her predecessors as California's Attorney General, without attribution. Recent investigations tied to California have spawned suspicions that both domestic criminal extremists and those with connections to international terrorist groups continue to use a variety of criminal measures to support their respective organizations. Fraud, narcotics, trafficking, and smuggling of contraband are just a few criminal activities linked to international organizations. Furthermore, it's believed these individuals will engage in any criminal activity promising high returns. In 2012, a report on human trafficking, she copied a paragraph from Wikipedia. Hey, look, it's there. They have an easy copy and paste function. Why not? California Victim Compensation Program provides victims compensation. If a person meets eligibility criteria, Cal VCP will compensate many types of services when the costs are not covered by other sources. Unbelievable. And in 2014, report on transnational gangs. She's like the copying senator. It's unbelievable. This is unbelievable. Zero talent, zero accomplishment. I'm telling you, I'm zero accomplishment. This woman, zero. I don't believe she prosecuted anyone. I'm sorry, question. She prosecuted anyone? I don't even know what the hell she did. This woman come out and tell me that the grass outside her lawn is green, and I'd be like, has anyone checked? 2014 report on transnational gangs. She copied several sentences from Roger McDonough, New York State judge, as well as McDonough's footnotes. The new examples add to the allegations of plagiarism published last week by conservative activist Chris Rufo, which focused exclusively on her book Smart on Crime. Experts who review those allegations, including Jonathan Bailey of Plagiarism Today, argue that they comprise such a small portion of Harris's work that sloppiness, not malice. It was sloppiness. Seemed like the most possible explanation. Well, this is not sloppiness. Quote, you'd expect these to be more apparent throughout the book if this was malicious intent to plagiarize, Bailey told the Washington Post. Ultimately, we're talking about not very many words in a very long book, which to me means it's more likely poor writing. But a review of Harris's... Whoa. Is that a real word? What is that? Oh, I gotta know what this one is. I don't know this one. This is a new one.
Evra.
Evra?
Evra. Evra.
Do it again.
Evra.
Mustafa.
Evra.
Avra. Wow. Good job. Good job there. That was impressive, Aaron. Avra. A review of Harris's Avra, including books, popular articles, congressional transcripts, and reports she authored as Attorney General, found a more extensive pattern of plagiarism than has been previously reported. Wow. Did any of you know what Avra was? Would you have spelled it that way? Avra? If I said the word Avra, would you have spelled it Oeuvre? Wow. Sorry. I was really blown away by that word. It spans 5 publications, including her sworn congressional testimony, and it comes after months of criticism, both left and right, that she's an idiot, and the Harris campaign has few ideas of its own. Plagiarism could become a potent symbol of critique. It's so funny because most of you are probably too young to know this. But back in the 80s, there was a guy who ran for presidential office and had to curtail his campaign because, well, he was busted for plagiarizing. And that individual was Joe Biden, who somehow managed to come into the office. Now Big Daddy Joe is the role model for Kamala Harris. It's really pathetic. Plagiarism could become a potent symbol of that critique in the last days of the dead heat. In an article about Rufo's allegations, the New York Times noted that none of those passages in question took the ideas or thoughts of another writer. Well, there you go. Here comes Aaron Sibarium to say, check this out. The new examples, which Harris lists pages of original material from other lawyers, undermine that defense and suggest that not all the passages were copied in error. Some contain telltale signs of intent, such as small tweaks in punctuation and the removal of minor details. The symbolism can be especially resonant given that Lawgic, who has been donating to GOP candidates since 1994, is not the only Republican Harris has been accused of parroting. She endured a different sort of plagiarism scandal in August when she promised to eliminate taxes on tips and stole that from Donald Trump. This was a Trump idea. Trump fumed on Truth Social at the time. She has no idea. She can only steal from me. That's all she can do. Also, in August, Harris proposed boosting child tax credit to $6,000 5 days after J.D. Vance proposed boosting it to $5,000. Vance joked that it was only a matter of time before she put on a red tie and promised to make America great again. Harris in 2019 supported taxpayer-funded gender transition surgeries for detained migrants, has also promised to build a border wall. Why not? Why not? Copycat character of a candidacy has caused even progressives to wonder if Harris, who had one of the most liberal voting records in the Senate, is a reliable ally at a time when polls show the public shifting right on social issues. Quote, the obvious question is, who exactly is Kamala Harris? She's who you want her to be, or who her handlers tell her to be. That's a question she herself may have trouble answering. Yeah, because she can't steal the answer from anyone. Who are you? My name is Gary. In absolute terms, plagiarized content make up a small fraction of Harris's work, as she's far from the only politician in either party. Plenty of copy and pasting. Biden, Rand Paul, Melania Trump, Ben Carson each endured their own plagiarism scandals. Like Harris, Carson is even accused of plagiarizing a congressional testimony, though that allegation only involved 2 paragraphs, not 1,200 words. All of these scandals received sustained media attention and were at times framed as synecdoches for a candidate's shortcomings. Anyway, I think we got enough of this. This is going on for a while. So there you go. My question for you is, and I'm asking those of you who are watching now or watching after the show, do you think this will have any impact on her campaign? Do you think that this will do anything? Do you think it's going to do anything? Or it's just entertaining? You think it'll do anything, or is it just entertaining? That's my question for you. Start a poll. Well, the new plagiarism. So yes, noticeably, maybe a tiny handful, and no. I'll check you out. I'll check you out in Rumble. You got stuff for me in Rumble? Got stuff for me? What do you think? Is it gonna have an impact? Let's see what's going on here. Z-Pack is anti. See, zinc is a must. Yes, CVS grocery stores either as lozenges like Zicam or Coldies, or pill on vitamin aisle. Okay. All right. I would look up on what WebMD, but I know that I'm going to get like some sort of like medical misinformation notice thrown up on this thing. I thought my family was rich growing up in Indiana. Then my sophomore year of high school, moved to Rockwall, Texas, and realized I was just middle class. There you go. Check out Candace's investigation about Kamala. I got a lot of stories to cover. I don't know if I can do that tonight, CL. She's a lawyer copying others' work. She's a lawyer copying others' work is normal. To a degree, that's true. I'm not going to kid you. There is, when you're a lawyer and you're handling something new or something like that, you're going to end up using someone else's format as like sort of like your starting point. Why would you be reinventing the wheel? Right? Or your own prior work as a format, because why reinvent the wheel? And then you tailor it appropriately. That's not the same thing, though, because you're supposed to attribute the work if it's like some sort of thing where you're sort of speaking or, you know, attribute the work. That's sort of like what you do. With lawyers, no one cares who the author is. It's not significant who the author is. Usually, it's rarely significant, at least. So cackling Kamala is sloppy. Ho, ho. I missed you, old guy. I missed you. And this old guy also. How long for Kamala is promoting a pure protein diet as a reliable path to professional success? Also not medical advice. So Biden and Harris are sloppy. Oh, ho. Indeed. Since when is Wikipedia even a citable source, let alone worthy of being plagiarized? She really is stealing from the same page as Joe. Yeah, she really is. She can't. She's even unoriginal in how she's plagiarizing, because she's taking plagiarizing from the plagiarist. Come as real as $3 bill and useful as a football bat. I think there actually is such a thing as $3 bill, but don't tell me when. Don't Google me on that. A dumb a-hole is as a dumb a-hole does. All right. Candace Jones just acquired proof that Kamala's heritage and race are Indian, white, Irish, and Syrian Jewish. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Oh my God, no. Oh my God. Always the juice. Not even a tiny bit black. Total fraud. Oh gosh. No reporter has asked her if she's black. No one. And she hasn't yet to say throughout this entire campaign that she is. A single time. You will not find a clip of her ever saying she's black. You won't. She doesn't say it. I've been watching for it. She never says she's black. When the topic came up with Trump and his whole thing saying she's not black, people were like, "You believe that?" And she'd be like, "He's so hateful." She wouldn't say she's black. She'd just be like, "Oh, of course. What do you expect? He's Donald Trump. He's all about being a racist." Never saying she was black. Go back and look. You'll see. She never, ever calls herself black. She just lets everyone around her give her that street cred. Pennies after 1982 and 98% seeing grab a mouthful. That's very helpful. That's very helpful. You think I would waste pennies that way? Come on. Do you even know me? As it's certain, you start out an example to make it your own, not copy and paste someone else and call it a day. No wonder Biden picked her. Yeah, that's precisely right. Yep. Candace also discovered she's part of the lost tribe of Israel. When will Candace just come out as a Hebrew? Here it comes. So this is what I'm saying. Candace, it seemed like I don't know, several months back, her brain broke, which is why I'm like, I heard her say some crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. So I don't know how when someone tells me, when Max tells me here that this is what Candace Owen broke, I'll be like, I don't know. Maybe Candace is right. Maybe she's wrong. She really lost a lot of credibility to me. So I don't know. I've seen her say some pretty stupid things over the last several months. So I'm not really a huge Candace Owen fan. I used to like and respect her a lot more. But she can talk effectively. I'll give her that. That's for sure. She talked very effectively. Where are we at? Okay. I got a lot more stories I want to cover with y'all. A lot more stories. We're in. Okay. I want to cover this. Laura Loomer suing Bill Maher. Well, it's not going to be a long story, but this is an interesting thing. I want to give you my take on this little lawsuit here. Bill Maher just got dinged by one of Donald Trump's most ardent supporters. He's being sued for a whopping $150 million by Laura Loomer for saying on national TV that she slept with the 45th president. According to new legal docs obtained by TMZ, Loomer named Maher and HBO as defendants in her suit filed in Sumter County, Florida, claiming that the Real Time with Bill Maher host besmirched her good name on his HBO show. Loomer, a conservative investigative journalist and close Trump ally, says Maher made false, malicious, and defamatory statements about her during his real-time broadcast on September 13, 2024. Loomer, conservative, in the episode, Maher told his viewers, I think maybe Laura Loomer is in an arranged relationship. Well, let's watch the episode right here.
Taylor Swift, she believes, is in an arranged. Here's my question, because Laura Loomer said, Taylor Swift, she believes, is in an arranged relationship.
This is the clip. You tell me if you think there's defamation, that we're about to see defamation happen, or right here. Does he defame Laura Loomer right here?
With Travis Kelce to influence the 2024 election. I think maybe Laura Loomer's in an arranged relationship to affect the election because she's. I
just want to say this. I agree with Laura Loomer, and I don't agree with her on a lot of things. I think that's in certain ways I listen to her and I'm like, I don't know what this woman's smoking. But I do think that the Taylor Swift Travis Kelce relationship is as fake as that $3 bill we were talking about a few minutes ago. I think it's the most uncomfortable, awkward looking thing in the world. It doesn't look like a natural, healthy type of relationship. And I sometimes kind of wondered if each of them are a beard for the other. Not kidding. You can look up the term beard in Urban Dictionary if you're unfamiliar with that phraseology. But I do think that they're each a beard for each other. I think that Taylor Swift gives Travis Kelce supposedly a whole list of dating Taylor rules, which is just the most bizarre thing in the world. And they might like hanging out with each other, but I don't look at them as like some sort of love story that everyone on the left seems to try to make out of them. I do not believe that the relationship is staged for the purposes of winning the election in 2024. This relationship has been going on for long before election season, going back well before election season. I think they're both a pair of lefty loonies. And I think that's like a lot of football players, when you get involved with a pop star, your career goes down the toilet. So, yeah, I'm not disappointed that to see him, that he's been struggling this year, as he did last year. Although last year, this year's the struggle has been real. I don't think so. I do think it's staged. It's like a very uncomfortable, weird type of relationship that they have, like a very weird relationship. I think it's a really weird relationship. Not at all like a normal, healthy love story. That being said, I don't think it's related to. I think now that the relationship is there, the stage this relationship that, in my opinion, is 90% staged is there. I think they're happily using it to help the campaign. I just don't think its genesis was for the purposes of like, oh, let's start this relationship so we can get a Democrat to win in 2024. I think that's kind of crazy. But let's hear the rest of this take and see whether or not we think Bill Maher defames Laura Loomer.
Very close to Trump. She's 31.
Let's go back a little bit.
In an arranged relation with Travis Kelce to influence the 2024 election. I think maybe Laura Loomer's in an arranged relationship to affect the election because she's very close to Trump. She's 31, looks like his type. We did an editorial here a few years ago. You're remembering it already. It was basically, who's Trump fucking? Because I said, it's not nobody. He's been a dog for too long, and it's not Melania. I think we may have our answer this week. I think it might be Laura Loomer. I'm just saying. Here's my.
All right, you tell me. I want you to tell me. Is that defamation? Did you see defamation there? You see defamation there? Let's see what we got. Yes, no, not definite. No, he didn't defame her. No, yes, no. Asshat, okay. Asshat, I agree with. That's an opinion, which is a no. Close to yes. They favor Melania too? I don't know. Absolutely not. No. Political comedy. No. There's a few yeses in there. I'm looking in the ghetto also. You guys can vote there too, I gotta refresh. I don't think my ghetto chat is. Let me refresh. Because my ghetto chat isn't working right. That's weird. Yeah, I'll tell you right now. To me, I agree with you, T. Gagliata. I agree with T. Gagliata. Who says definitely not. This is, to me, definitely not defamation. I'm not even reading this lawsuit. That is not, to me, defamation at all. Every person there, you listen to what he's saying. He's very clearly speculating. He starts with, I think. It's clearly intended as comedy. No person's taking that and says this is a factual assertion. Nobody. That is a statement of opinion, And he even starts with, I think maybe Laura
Loomer's in an arranged relationship.
And clearly jabbing back at Laura Loomer because he didn't like what she said about Travis and Taylor. So yeah, I don't even understand. I don't have to read this lawsuit. Tell you right now, this is not going. I'm making a prediction, going out there on a limb. I'm not reading the complaint, and I'm still going out on a limb, and I'm telling you this complaint will be dismissed. It will not survive. It will not survive a motion to dismiss. This is not defamation, nor should it be. And we need to be a little bit less litigious. This is not defamation. It's not. And yeah, you want to say it's in poor taste? Okay, I can accept that. Saying Donald Trump should sue too. This is not defamation. It's not defamation. It's clearly he's joking. It's you look at this. To me, it's obvious he's making a joke. Yeah. So nobody's taking this seriously, and I'll tell you right now, if Rachel Maddow can say he's literally a Russian agent, and that's going to get dismissed. Because literally means figuratively when she says literally. This is political comedy. Zero chance. This is never going to survive. And it shouldn't. America would be a worse place if this is the sort of thing that can land someone with a legitimate lawsuit. See what Judge Joe Brown says about Kamala. Dad said he is, which makes her what she is. The judge's choice of words is much more humorous than mine. Yes, I actually played 25 minutes of him like just killing Kamala. That's probably the clip you're talking about. But I played that like when she first was announced as the replacement. Like 3 months ago, I played it. Oh my goodness. Here we go. Al Johnson. I don't know. You keep saying if you know, you know. I don't know. I know Willie Brown. I don't know Al Johnson. I don't know. Candace Owens is the black chick on top of the building in Independence. I don't remember that reference either, but that could be my COVID brain. I haven't seen Independence Day in like 20 years. So I'm not saying, look, he flip-flops back and forth. He basically has made his career over the last several years has been, I am going to make fun of everyone. And I'm going to make 4 shows making fun of Republicans and then 1 show making fun of Democrats. And then 4 shows making fun of Trump and then 1 making fun of Biden. And that's basically how he's made his career. That he's the guy who's going to go after everyone, usually the Republican / Trump, and occasionally go after the Democrat. So I would say at least 80% of his attacks go against the Republican. What makes him unique amongst the legacy media is that he will occasionally attack the left as well, which you rarely see from legacy media, which is why he ends up becoming someone who people on the right will sometimes clip and share and like, oh, wow, this is even Bill Maher saying this. And he does it from time to time. And I think that he's basically looking to just help pump up his numbers and say, I'm willing to call out truth, whatever. So you can love him, you can hate him, you can, whatever it is, you can say that he's got his own biases, and almost certainly does. What I'm saying is it's not once or twice. It's a frequent thing that he calls out Democrats. It's just compared to how often he'll call out Trump and people on the right, it's relatively infrequent. Compared to anyone else in legacy media or on HBO or any of these people who talk about politics on some major network, he will come out more aggressive against Democrats than anyone else. So that's why people, and that's his formula that works for him really effectively. And let's be honest, his writers are pretty good. this little bit that he did here, I didn't think was too entertaining. But some of the monologues that they come out with for him to drop out there, I don't know how involved he is in the writing or not. Maybe he is. Maybe he's heavily involved. Maybe he just reads a teleprompter and doesn't even know what's, and scans over it for 20 seconds before he comes out there and delivers it. But he has some killer monologue, like 5-minute, 7-minute things where he'll go on with some really clever references that he'll sort of bake in there. And the writing is really pretty good. So, yeah, I'm not surprised that his last show was all TDS. Like I said, I would imagine in the next couple of weeks, most of it is going to be anti-Trump. Candace never had a brain. She made her way by being contrarian. Her behavior proved Ben right, faux intellectual. All she does well is argue. She does argue well. She had some great moments in Congress where she talks about how every 4 years they trot out racism. Or she took down the whole George Floyd thing and took a lot of heat for that. Did you misspell faux like that intentionally? For the fact you put in quotes. Oh, you're saying contrarian. So, instead of faux being F-A-U-X, like fake contrarian, you're saying that she's a controversial. Makes an enemy of herself to appear like an intellectual. That's pretty clever there, Sun Wukong. Nice. Travis Kelce struggling. His team is 6-0. What are his numbers? What's he had? Like one good game? One good game? I mean, he's had some of the biggest clunkers of his career this year. I think Smith and Kelce need to work this crap out. It's hurting my fantasy team. He's not that good. Did you know that adultery is still a crime in many states? Can this be used in Laura's lawsuit for actual malice since it's still a misdemeanor in Florida? Not if no one takes it seriously in statement of opinion. So, if anything, it would just help establish that it's derogatory. But Kamala did say her mother was very intentional about raising my sister Maya and me as strong black women. That's a clear statement to me. See, I don't remember hearing her say that. That's interesting. I'd like to see that quote. I'd like to see that. I would like to see that. Every time I see Bill Maher, I think about his role in House 2, and I don't remember the movie or that role. Then that is how you should take any of his political assessments and opinions. Okay, cool. I feel you, bro. I feel you. All right, I got a bunch more stories here that I wanted to cover with you. What do we have here? Not this. Did this one. Yeah, this is a clip that Dave Rubin shared that I thought this is really weird. This is really, really weird. Dave Rubin shared this and called this psycho level crap. And this is very psycho. I just want to, before I play the clip, this is obviously the clown in waiting. I don't know how much Botox she has in her face that it can actually contort into that particular shape. But clearly, not recommended levels. There's not recommended levels of Botox that's been injected in there. Just at how her eyebrows can be like, I don't know, like an amma away from like her eyes in that Nancy Pelosi type of way. Someone's got to paint them eyebrows down a little bit further south, I think, or something, because something's weird. Something weird is happening here. Something weird is happening with her fake weird plasticized face. So that's Kamala up top. You probably don't recognize the corpse there at the bottom in the center. That corpse-looking thing is, believe it or not, supposedly still alive. And that is former President Jimmy Carter. Not really the saint everyone loves making him out to be. really terrible president. Really terrible president. I think in his personal life, he probably has more morality than most presidents we've had in the last couple of decades. In his personal life, his career as a politician, he was a disaster. But in his personal life, he probably has much more morality than most of the other presidents we've had over the last several decades, including Trump, if you think about it. But yeah, that's it. You would think that, honestly, when I first saw this still, I thought that this was one of those CPR dummies, and that maybe it's just like, like what the one Dwight ripped the face off of. And I'm picturing this black guy just sort of like straddling and like doing chest compressions. Staying alive, staying alive. Staying alive, staying alive. That's what I picture happening here. I really thought I was like, that's actually Jimmy Carter. That's actually Jimmy. Literally thought it was one of those CPR dummies. Don't tell me I'm the only one. Don't tell me you didn't see that picture down there and think CPR dummy. So here's Kamala. Apparently, I don't know, she had some video feed that she was sharing of Jimmy Carter. I don't know if he's expressing support. I don't know the context at all. All I know is the 18 seconds that you're about to see here.
So look, if Jimmy Carter can vote early, you can too. So look, if Jimmy Carter can vote early, you can too.
What the heck is happening here? What the heck is happening here? What is she laughing about? I don't understand anything that's happening here. It's so unsettling. It's like, did they wheel him out and say, vote for Kamala? I voted for Kamala. This is psycho. It is psycho. Dave's right. This is psycho stuff. This is just really.
So look, if Jimmy Carter can vote early, you can too.
My God. I mean, honestly, if he had died 2 years ago, he still would be voting for Kamala. We know that. But wow. Especially because he's in Georgia. He's in Georgia, the dude. So they're gonna need his vote. He'll be voting Democrat for the next 20 years. So you can feel confident in that. He will continue voting Democrats. Kelsey can do two things at once except play football and picking girlfriends. Yeah. What do you got for me? Let me see what you got for me here. What do you got for me? What? Al Jolson. He's the guy who put on blackface. And he was also like back in like literally a century ago. He used to he was a Jewish guy who put on blackface. Okay. Got it. Okay. I got it. If you know, you know. Well, yeah, Al Jolson, that I would have gotten. Okay. All right. Don't give me the benefit of the doubt. I can't spell Kelsey. Kelsey will get his numbers. Will he? But will he though? But will he? We're like at the we're practically at the midpoint at the season. So will he? So I'm starting to think, I'm not so sure. Show your desktop background to show. Yeah, this is the Jimmy Carter I know. This is the Jimmy Carter I know. Uh-oh. I think I might have lost my gun just there. Is it still working? Oh, it is. Okay. Yeah. You're not even going to see it because I got so many things on my desktops right now. But yeah, what he's asking me to show is because Alien News has been here a while. He knows what my desktop looks like. He knows my desktop. This is my desktop there. I got it like. There's little Jimmy. Little Jimmy. Next to giantess Jill. Little Jimmy. Little Jimmy. Gotta love it. How the hell they made them so small is just astonishing. That is my desktop. And that is because in case you're new here, the reason that's my desktop is because when I first saw this picture and I realized just how much bigger this was, like it was like the Bidens when this is like when he first became president and he went to visit the Carters. And I was like, even if you look how small the Carters look next to even Jill Biden. Look how they're on their knees. And they're on their knees. They're on their freaking knees. It's astonishing. It's astonishing. Like, okay, just imagine you sort of like put, pictures at eye height, right? I mean, seriously, if he stands up, if Joe stands up there, it's like the picture of Jimmy Carter on the wall there. It'd be like at his navel. What is that how short the Carters are? That their eye height is like Joe Biden's navel? What's happening here? I thought this was the funniest picture in the world. This was such a great picture. Can't even see it in this picture here, but even like his shoe is like bigger than like Rosalind Carter's leg. Anyway, so there you go. Those are the Carters. How are they keeping him? I don't know. I don't know why. They could just have him vote anyway. By the way, it actually made me have this thought. Like, if someone votes early voting and then dies, should their vote count? Someone drops dead after they vote. I'm sure it would be counted. I mean, they're not going to know. They're not going to go dig up all the people. I'm saying, let's say someone is alive and they vote. Not like, we talk about Democrats and their, how they basically will hand out flyers at cemeteries and dig up graves and shove the flyers down there. I mean, like literally someone votes and in October, drops dead, and then, yeah, all of a sudden, I wonder if I personally don't think it should count, but I'm pretty sure it would. Carter endorsed her and said he wanted to vote for her before he passed. Yeah. I guess you gotta give Satan one more reason to suck your soul down into hell. Kamala treating sedated people worse than Diddy. There you go. That's a winner. That's a winner. That's a winner. Cackling Kamala, the witch from Jamaica, needs a bucket of bong water thrown on her melt away. What a world! What a world! Oh no! What a world! Oh. I thought I had it here, but apparently I don't. I bet he passed, and that's a wax dummy. Really could be. It really could be. Joe, you're missing. It's a photo op with the black man next to him trying to get the black man back. That could be. Could be. Let's go. I have some live reporting from Roosevelt today. Bars are gone. Immigrants have security. They're all high, and the smell. What's the Roosevelt? Is that a hotel? Say DM for the video link of Kay's speech. It's from her nomination acceptance speech at the convention. What? Oh, you're talking about where she said she raised two strong black women? But what? I hope you sent in that DM like what timestamp I'm looking for here, because I can't go through the whole thing. It says it's sending me to an invalid URL, so I think you might have copied something wrong. This is what happens when I click it. Watch this little excursion we go on here. So we click on this. Now it's not even doing that. Warning: this link may be. No, I trust Adrian. I'm going to continue. I trust her. If we send an invalid URL, yeah, and then we go into a cycle like that. So something's got to be better than that. If you die before the election, your vote is supposed to be removed. Do they actually remove them? Doubt it. It looks. It was the weirdest thing in the world. I don't think Kamala's campaigning anymore. I think Obama's trying to clean up the mess. I agree with you. She's really in trouble. I was explaining this to my nephews tonight at our little family gathering and out of my mother. And I was just like, I'm going to tell you this. We need to go out there and press hard and press hard and press hard and press hard. I spent much of today watching one video after another, which was basically saying how it's almost not possible for her to win at this point anymore. That's how badly things are going for her. The early voting returns, everything. Now, everyone in there should go out there and vote because we want to show the dominance, not just a eke out a victory. No, this should be dominant. I want him to get the popular vote. I want to set a new yardstick for what Republicans should be shooting for going forward. Okay, so yeah, get your butt out there and vote. I'm simply saying, I told my nephew, I've been very proud of how accurately I've been predicting the development of this election. I haven't really been touting it, but I'll tell you this. I called it when Biden. I called Biden stepping down at a time when he was like, no, going the whole way, going the whole distance here. I was like, he's not. He's going to step down. I called Kamala having a bump. I called her surging through the summer. I said, we're not going to see her start to dip until September, which is exactly when she started dipping. And I said, you're going to continue to see her sliding further and further. And I still think, barring an October surprise, something really weird happening, barring a crazy, terrible October surprise, I don't see. I was like, I'm expecting this to actually be a Trump landslide victory. I don't think this is going to be a close election at all. I think it's going to be something that's going to be so obvious on election night. Everyone's worried like, oh, it's going to take weeks and whatever. No, I think election night, it's going to be like, oh, wow, this is, it's not just going to be like the lead like he had in 2020. No, this is going to be like, they're going to be like, okay, this is over. This is really over. That's the only thing that's going to happen. I think it's going to be a very, very dominant. I think it's going to be a dominant win. And it's not because, and it's not that I'm Nostradamus. I'm not a prophet. I don't have the, I don't have God's ear or his mouth whispering to me. No, this is just as far as just like seeing how things play out. Why did I predict that she was going to stay strong? I was like, the DNC is coming. The DNC is coming. And people are going to be like excited about the change and hope and this new change and whatever. And, it's going to reinvigorate them. And why did I predict that September she would start to dip? The reason I predicted that is I said in September, people got to pay bills again. Very nice to have all your stupid high all excitement in August. But then, rent comes, food bills come, electricity comes, insurance bills come. People are like, can't really afford this. Can't really afford to vote for her. I can't survive another 4 years of this crap. So that's why I was like, no, that's when she's. And I was like, why would she continue to plummet? Well, people keep paying bills. You know why things get worse in October? Because then October bills come. That's why. Economy sucks. It's really expensive. Everyone sees it. So what great news. And then what I'm saying is, October surprise would be like World War III. That would be October surprise. I guess they might try and pull an October surprise of Biden stepping down. I don't really know that would help her. I don't know if that would help her. I don't know that he'd be willing to do that for her. But God willing, Trump should be healthy for not just the next couple of weeks, but for the next 10 years. So, yeah, but I don't see how he's going to lose. I don't see how he's going to lose this election. I don't see how it's going to happen. I don't see how. I'm very amped. I'm very, very amped. So I think he's going to be great. Hoping he's going to be great. All right. A couple more stories I want to get to here. Before I get to science. Before I tackle science. Can't show this story because it's got Jon Stewart and he and his company are difficult to deal with. But I thought you'd like this one. Yeah, I'll share this one with you. It's not that long. A couple of good videos to share with you before I get into tackling science. Here's CNN fact-checking Tim Walz. That's right, fact-checking Tim Walz.
Let's talk about manufacturing. Building back up manufacturing in the United States is a focus of both campaigns. I want to play for you what Vice Presidential candidate Tim Walz said about this yesterday.
We want to make sure that you're able to bring manufacturing like Kamala Harris has did. We know Donald Trump lost more manufacturing jobs than any president in American history. Yep. That's simply factual.
But is it though? That's what he tells the ladies of The View, the sharp cookies of The View. That's simply factual.
What are the facts here?
Well, if you're going to say something is simply factual, it should be factual. This is not. It's not true that the Trump presidency lost more manufacturing jobs than any other presidency. Under George W. Bush, there were about 4.5 million manufacturing jobs lost. Under Trump, it was about 178,000.
That's close. 4.5 million, 178,000. Really the same.
There were also more manufacturing jobs lost than under Trump, under Eisenhower, under Ford, under Reagan. So Trump does not have the record. I think it's also worth pointing out for context that these Trump job losses in manufacturing overwhelmingly occurred because of the COVID pandemic. Pre-pandemic, under Trump, there was a gain of about 414,000 manufacturing jobs. Again, he ended a negative 178,000, but that was largely because we had a pandemic-related crash.
Daniel Dale, great to see you as always. Thank you. John.
Yeah. So, but one thing that Tim Walz doesn't like is facts. Facts are very frustrating to him. Very frustrating to him. You think that's why Bill Gates is investing $50 million into Kamala's campaign? A bunch of you asked me to cover this clip of Josh Shapiro. I don't know if I have the clip here. I know I talked. I can pull it up pretty quick. Let me get this clip for you. A bunch of you asked me to weigh in on this. I'm going to share with you a little behind the scenes. A lot of people sharing posts with me. Hold on a second. See Nathan sharing a post with me. Should I be checking my likes, Nathan? How are my likes at? Where are my likes at? Let me refresh and see where my likes are at. Uh-oh. Let me refresh and see where my likes are at. You see, this is not cool. I got 1,100 people watching, only 516 likes. That is not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it. Now, I learned from the master of podcasting, seriously, dude, I have tremendous respect for, and the lead attorney, that he's like, dude, when the likes are not there, you got to shut down chat until the likes come up. You got to shut down chat until the likes come up. So I'll give you like 5. If I don't get at least 50% likes, I'm going to check back again after I cover this story. But, yeah. Let's see. This is Eminem. There we go. All right. This is what Nathan shared with me here. Eminem talking about introducing Kamala here.
You lied through your teeth. For that, your feelings instead of Detroit.
I don't like him in a beard.
What up, though? So look, I wrote down a few things I wanted to say. I love you too. Thank you. I'm here tonight for a couple of important reasons. As most of you know, the city of Detroit and the whole state of Michigan mean a lot to me.
Then you should be very disappointed in what Democrats have done to Detroit.
And going into this election, the spotlight is on us more than ever, and I think it's important to use your voice. So I'm encouraging everybody to get out and vote, please. I also think that people shouldn't be afraid to express their opinions. And I don't think anyone wants an America where people are worried about retribution or what people will do if you make your opinion known.
Which is what Democrats are doing to Republicans. Literally silencing them. Worst First Amendment abuse in the history of this country, according to Judge Terry Dowdy.
I think Vice President Harris supports a future for this country where these freedoms and many others will be protected.
You're such an idiot. You're a very talented artist, and I mean that sincerely. This dude is genuinely a talented artist. Okay, I can recognize his talent. He has talents, like really well-developed, well-refined, natural ability and well-developed talents. But this guy is lying to his audience right now, because like all billionaires, or I don't know if he's a billionaire quite, but they, like many of the uber rich, they love socialism. They love it because socialism is best for the really, really, really wealthy people. It is. They don't take away their taxes. No. You just gotta have the right friends. If you're entrenched and you have the right friends, you're golden. You're golden. So all these corporations standing up for socialist types of policies, and this clownish perspective of like, oh, I'm worried about someone who's going to be silencing other, have freedom of speech. Are you out of your freaking mind? Are you an idiot? No, I know he's not an idiot. I think he's actually very intelligent, which means he's not stupid. He's just a stinking liar.
And upheld.
He's a stinking liar.
And here to tell you much more about that, President Barack Obama.
Yeah, President Barack Obama, another hardcore liar. Unfortunately, the luster is coming off of that. Thanks for sharing that, brother. The brother's got to come out. Brother's got to come out. Yesterday was the last day of registering in Alabama. Dave and I went, registered, and voted early in one day. Whole process took a little over an hour. Well done, Ann. Well done indeed. Well done indeed. Hot take, the unthinkable happens. Does Vance win? Does Vance win? It probably would depend on how it happens. It probably would depend on how it happens. Let's say you had like, a Crooks type of situation. Thomas Crooks type of situation. I don't know. That's hard. That's a hard one to call. That's a hard one to call. Probably. Barnes said today on Barrett's show, people's polling at least 312 electoral votes. He'll win popular vote by 2. Harris will win New Jersey by 6 points. I've been trying to find polls for New Jersey specifically. I said New Jersey go in red. I said it 2-3 months ago. New Jersey go in red. Last poll I said showed New Jersey blue by 10. I'm like, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I am in a friggin' battleground state, and this battleground is going red. That's what I'm saying. Trump 2024, baby. Trump 2024. Jersey, what up? I agree. That's why I'll tell you something. I'll tell you right now. I think 312 is conservative. I'm telling you, I really am buying a landslide. I'm really buying a landslide. I think Virginia falls. I think Jersey falls. I think New York is a lot closer than people think. I think New York is a lot closer than people think. I don't think they have any idea how big this wave is coming. I'm telling you, I'm feeling it. I'm really, really feeling it. I'm really feeling it. They always underestimated him by 3 to 6 points. 3 to 6 points across the board, all over the place. I'm telling you now. I'm seeing a fever. A fever. I saw someone else who was saying that the lowest possible would be 311. 311. You're saying that they came in at 312. Not surprised. Not surprised. Now, how may they try stopping it? I don't know what this is. You might have seen this. One of my nephews brought this up to me today. Asked me if I saw this. I don't know if you saw this, but I do want to tell you to be cautious of it. I'm not saying this is a widespread problem. I'm not saying this is a serious thing that we have to be concerned about, but I certainly don't trust the Democrats anywhere, anytime, ever, especially in an even number year. So, especially in the fall in an even number year. So, that being the case, I just want to tell you, be alert. Be alert for this.
James Carpenter. I just voted in the White Settlement election. I voted for one president, checked it on the video screen. When I got the paper ballot, it had the other candidate's name on it. Check your paper ballots, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Lucas Clark, and I voted here at White Settlement Library in Fort Worth. I was in line for about 45 minutes, and there were 2 people that came out and said that their ballots were changed. So everybody double check your printed out ballots. They go in there and they vote, and once they print out their ballot, it's different. So.
Thank you very much, sir.
So I will urge you, when you fill out your ballot, make sure that if you're doing a touchscreen type of thing, double check, triple check, make sure it's coming out the way you're intending to vote, and that the printed out thing that they're giving you is accurate. Do not accept anything that make sure that what you're seeing is what you're intending it to be. Because am I saying this is a widespread problem rather than I don't know. For all I know, these people aren't crack and this whole thing is made up. I don't know. That's possible. Or they could be legit. And that's scary. So I'm just urging y'all, you're doing early voting, you're doing election day voting, Please, 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 please make sure your ballot is accurately reflecting your vote and that your vote is for Donald Trump. That's right. I told you, I endorsed him, so I'm going to be supporting him. If it isn't a landslide, we're going to have problems. This is true. No red wave talk, Joe. Don't need midterm 2022. I know what happened in 2022. I know what happened. By the way, yeah, if Lindsey Graham comes out and starts talking about some national abortion thing, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it because that's what happened in 2022. Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell screwed up that entire thing. I want to share one more engaging thing here for y'all, which this was pretty funny. This is pretty funny. Watching Kamala get angry. She's starting to lose it. Supposedly she took the day off today after saying, "Hey, you gotta keep plugging. Don't get depressed. Don't get down." She needed a day break today. And if her day's been looking like this, what we're about to see here, you can start to understand why she needs a break.
Got heckled. Kamala Harris just got heckled at a Detroit rally. Oh my God, they were chanting Donald Trump. Watch this. Watch how pissed she gets. She gets pissed.
But wait, didn't she have a Barack Obama come up there and speak for her? Didn't Eminem introduce her? Yeah, still heckled. You can't really hear the heckling, but you could see her face screwing up here. Look at that face. Look at that Botox face. You can see she's not happy.
Here because we believe in democracy. Everyone.
One second, let's make this a little louder for y'all.
I'm here because we believe in democracy. Everyone's voice matters, but I am speaking now.
I'm speaking.
You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that. Otherwise, I'm speaking. Look how mad she is. Look at her face. Look at her face. Look at her face. She's pissed. Yeah.
She's giving the same face that Will Smith's wife was given when Chris Rock's got jokes. When Chris Rock got jokes, same face. We all saw that face. That face right there. That's the face of, oh, Chris, you got jokes, Chris, huh? G.I. Jane 2. You got jokes. You got jokes. She needs her Will Smith to go up there and she's Doug Emhoff to go marching on up there and slapping some folks around, saying, "Keep my wife's name out your mouth." That's what Doug should be doing in that classic Jewish accent. That classic Jewish accent that Doug throws out there, throwing out like, keep my wife's name out your mouth. That's how we throw down here. That's how we throw down here in Hamitown. That was my best Jew accent right there. That was my best Jewish accent. Gosh. Everyone sent you a DM, no red wave talk. Okay. What do you want? Everyone's sending me DMs. Everyone's very excited to be sending me DMs. What did you send me now? People mad at me. Just telling you what I've seen. Just telling you what I'm seeing. I could be wrong. I agree with Ramble On, who says F Lindsey Graham. Amen. What just showed me, Peter? No red wave talk. Yeah, you share me a clip here that I'm sure from Peaky Blinders. This is so going to get me dinged by HBO or whoever it is that created this thing. Yeah, what you're about to see now is something that if you're watching after the show, I probably had to edit out.
But the main thing is...
See, maybe if I stop it every like second and a half, like I won't have to edit it out, or else I'll just edit out like 5 minutes in it straight.
You bunch of fuckers, despite the provocation.
There you go. There you go. Basically telling me don't from the Democrats. There you go.
That's no red wave talk. Hey!
All right. I get it. I get it. They have a formula. Judges, machines, Venezuela playbook they're using. The Jamaican wicked witch is angry. That's why she took a day off. Could be. Given Dems willing to do whatever, how they invalidate Trump through sentencing or Alaraskan, do they sentence and impeach? I covered this on Locals. Mitty Ree Barrett. If you go to goodlogic.locals.com, you look at my last live stream there from last week. I spent 40 minutes breaking down how that whole Jamie Raskin thing is crap. Will not happen, cannot happen, impossible to happen. But I'm not going to go. It took me 40 minutes. I was talking pretty fast. I was just sort of like, here, let's go through the decision. Let's go this, and this. Jamie Raskin was referring to Trump v. Anderson. Let's break down what Trump v. Anderson does. And I had it highlighted. Like, let's focus. Boom. This is what they say here. Boom. This argument here. This is what we say. This is what we say. This is how this works. I break down the whole thing there. It's 40 minutes. Go check it out. Goodlogic.locals.com. It's a pretty good video. It's good enough that I rewatched it. And when I rewatch my own work, I know that I did well. Because I only rewatch myself when I feel good about how something came out. And I rewatched that whole thing. So time for me to take on science. In my final segment of the week, because I'm not going to be here tomorrow. I'm not going to be here Thursday. Not going to be here Friday. Hope to be here Saturday nights. Good chance be here Saturday night. Probably late Saturday night. So, final segment of the week. Time for us to talk science. It's because I saw a clip of Neil Tyson deGrasse saying something, and I said to myself, this makes no sense. No sense. 0 sense. This cannot be science. You're describing magic. This is magic. But if you're talking science is not supposed to be magic. All right. Let's go check this out. Ready? And 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Oh, that's not the beginning. It's a short of Neil Tyson deGrasse. And I'm going to show you how what he's saying makes no sense if you believe in, I don't know, science.
The single greatest gift that astrophysics has brought civilization is the discovery back in 1957 by 4 authors. No movies are made about them because it's 4 of them, not just 1.
That sounds pretty stupid, first and foremost. Because it's 4 people, not 1, that's why no one knows about it. So is that how things tend to work? Really? One of them doesn't just like assert credit and really? Is that really how things? Okay, that sounds pretty stupid already. But okay, what do they give us?
They realized that the elements on the periodic table that we might remember from chemistry class owe their origin to thermonuclear fusion in the cores of stars. Fusion, light elements under high temperatures coming together to make heavy elements. elements. If they only stayed in stars, that would not be interesting. But these particular stars also happen to explode and scatter this enrichment across the galaxy. And this enrichment, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, silicon, all of these elements scatter into gas clouds that then collapse and form next-generation star systems, one of which was ours. So the very ingredients that comprise life are traceable to stars. They gave their lives billions of years before we arrived. So we are not only figuratively, but quite literally stardust.
Okay. Did you get all that? Did you get all that? That makes sense to you? That you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that adds up. That adds up. Did you get all that? Because this is what he just said there. I'm going to show you how stupid that is. How stupid everything he just said is. Ridiculous. Utterly, utterly ridiculous. Let's do it one more time. Just so no one thinks I'm misstating what he's saying. We're going to break down what he's saying is what happens.
Single greatest gift that astrophysics has brought civilization is the discovery back in 1957 by 4 authors. No movies are made about them because it's 4 of them, not just one.
This guy looks like the biggest geek ever. Okay.
They realized that
he looks science-y.
Elements on the periodic table that we might remember from chemistry class owe their origin to thermonuclear fusion.
Thermonuclear fusion in the cores of stars.
The cores of stars. Fusion. Light elements under high temperatures coming together to make heavy elements.
Okay. I can accept. That part. So you're saying that there are new elements formed because there are new chemical bonds that are being created, and that's now making heavier elements. Okay. Let's assume that makes sense. Okay. All right.
If they only stayed in stars, that would not be interesting. But
okay, but fortunately, they didn't stay in stars.
These particular stars also happen to explode.
They exploded. Oh, okay. So what happened after these stars that had in their cores this amalgam of different elements
and scatter this enrichment across the galaxy? And this
scatter the enrichment. So there's an explosion, and they scatter. Okay.
Enrichment, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, silicon, all of these elements scatter into gas clouds.
Whoa, okay. They scatter into gas. They scatter into gas clouds. Scatter into gas clouds. Okay. If they're all being emitted from one force, some of them are heavier than others. Whatever level of force is pushing out, I don't know, helium, which is very light compared to gold or magnesium or silver or, much heavier things. You would think that the force that's acting on the helium would send the helium much faster, further away from the star. Let's go a little further.
That then collapse and form next generation star systems.
So then these clouds now collapse and form a new star system. Okay, so first and foremost, these stars got to be like crazy big, because they're making clouds that are big enough to make galaxies, or not galaxies, universes, new solar systems. This is so insane. This is so bloody insane. There's so many holes in this. So many holes.
One of which was ours. So the very ingredients that comprise life are traceable to stars. They gave their lives billions of years before we arrived.
All right, I'm just gonna point out how many different flaws there are in this statement. Okay, first and foremost, when you have an explosion from the center of something, things scatter away from each other, not into clouds. See, something goes this way, something else goes that way. Oh, and then the further they go, wider apart from each other, wider apart from each other. But somehow in the middle of space, they're forming clouds clustering with each other. Some of these elements, you would think, at least some of them, are considerably heavier, denser, different molecular structures. So the helium would go way further than whatever's got, I don't know, number 84 on your periodic table. So how on earth would you have both of them in the same cloud system, just hanging around with each other, waiting to somehow merge together and form some brand new universe that from there life is also going to spring up, not just the universe, but the planets and all the other stuff that's circling around it, that all that stuff is coming from one other star. Or if you're going to tell me that what are they, two stars? Two stars right next to each other? Like, what is happening here? How does anyone think that this makes any sense at all? Do you know how immense space is? Because you're going to tell me it's two different stars that happen to be blowing up the same time as each other, or I don't know, some domino theory, some chain reaction here between the different stars. Do you know how hard it would be? How far away are the stars from each other today? I mean, how freaking far is the next closest star from here to from where we're at to the next star? How far away is it? How many millions, billions of miles away are these things from us? And are they from each other? Because if you're going to tell me they have molecules from A somehow merging together from molecules from B because they're exploding. They're exploding. They're going in opposite directions, or at least not on the same path. So how it is that they're forming into these gas clouds when some of them should be going way faster away from the exploding star than the heavier ones, right? I'm not crazy here, right? I mean, if you have a car that's driving along, basic physics here, car driving along, and it hits two things, and one of those things weighs 1.5 pounds, and the other weighs 5,000 pounds, the thing that goes 5,000 pounds will move much more slowly than the thing that weighs 1.5 pounds. That's just physics that you would think Neil Tyson deGrasse would understand. So it's going much faster. How is it ending up in a cloud together? Because you don't have, presumably, gravitational forces that are acting on these elements till they get to some other star and get sucked up into that star. But how are they hanging out together? And you have to understand that ultimately, all of these elements, every element on the periodic table has to end up in the same cloud. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here on Earth. Because when that cloud forms a new universe, this new universe would now need to have every element that we've discovered. And they would all have to be here. Otherwise, we'd be like, well, we don't have a number 81. We don't have a 16. So they all got to be there. Even though some were much more. So when the star exploded and they're shooting out from the star, shooting out all these different directions. And yet somehow you have these clouds. And then miraculously, these clouds just spontaneously just start spawning into universes because naturally that's what's going to happen next. So I don't understand how it is that anyone thinks you would have a cloud which would have all these elements. That makes no sense at all. No sense at all. Because when that thing explodes, some of those elements would be going much further, much faster. And there's presumably traveling, I don't know, in theory, practically forever. Because there's no force. A body in motion is going to remain in motion. So it's just going to keep on going. Then that helium is going to get further and further away from your gold, from your silicon, from your sodium, your potassium, and all your other much heavier, your radon, your barium. It's going to be going much further, much faster. So how's this happening? How are they forming clouds? How's that happening? You need to have a cloud which has every element. How big is that? And how big is this cloud? I mean, seriously, how big is the cloud? How big? This is the stupidest thing in the world. This makes no sense at all. Zero, nothing, not even close. Not even close. Don't tell me I'm wrong on this. And there's no way I'm wrong on this. Yeah, I'm feeling someone's going to tell me I'm wrong. Let me see what people are saying. Good night, all. Got a VA appointment in the morning. Using VA funding for illegals. Vote no for the Wicked Witch, Harris, no balls. Oh, walls. Amen. Sorry for the broken link. It was CNN. Grr. But I sent another DM to you. This one's from Kamala's own YouTube. She says it's at 43 seconds of timestamp. I'm past this. That's going to be next week. Too late. Sorry. Love you. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. You're too kind. I don't understand how people think this makes any sense at all. Does this? Am I crazy? No. Did you hear what he said? And my questions on it? You're not listening. That's right. We are Ziggy Stardust, apparently, according to Neil Tyson deGrasse. Yeah, that's what we're, Stardust. I literally have popcorn waiting. Neil Tyson has said stupid stuff. This ain't it. Where's the flaw? Where's the flaw in what I'm saying here? I asked like 4 different questions on this. These stars are growing up in a middle class. Nice. Nice. Joe, physics is not your strong suit. Don't make me Einstein theory relativity again. You never won on that one. Everything comes from nothing, explosion, blah, blah, blah. Answer to life, universe, and everything is 42. This is likely true. All right. Joe, leave the scientist. I don't have all night to teach you why your understanding is wrong. I'm simply saying this is what Neil Tyson deGrasse said happened. And what I'm saying is what he said happened cannot possibly be what actually has happened. Now, you want to tell me there's some other explanation that he's not accurately describing here? Okay, that's possible. I'm simply saying what he's describing here is impossible. That would be magic. That all of a sudden helium ends up in the same cloud as I don't know, argon. Sounds kind of stupid. Hydrogen is ending up in the same cloud as radon. No, that makes no sense. Sorry, Joe Neal's right. I'm on the next call and show. We'll talk. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not. You can't just say he's right. Joe teaching science like a view back into early man. Helium is light, so it must go farther. Can we do a video of feather and bowling ball in the vacuum? Okay. Tries to debunk astrophysics, doesn't understand the difference between a universe and a solar system. You baited $10 out of me. Congrats. It's not relevant. Distinction isn't relevant. Not relevant. Science just God's system. Don't fight it, Joe. No. I agree with you that God invented science. I'm simply saying these explanations that scientists have for the origination of the universe is not really logical. Look up nebula. How large is the nebula? Just wow, Joe. Wow. How large is a nebula? How large is a nebula? Some of them can even be thousands of light years in diameter. Okay. That's what I'm seeing here. Okay. So how big was the star? No, seriously. No, seriously. Because presumably it's not all the contents of the star. Joe, you're wrong. It makes total sense. Well, I guess that with compelling logic like that, I can't really refute that. You're wrong on this. Heavier elements have more gravitational pull. Lighter things are brought in making clouds because of that. Heavier elements have more gravitational pull. Okay, that makes sense. Lighter things are brought in making clouds because of that. So let me see if I understand what you're trying to say correctly here. Let me see what the heaviest element is. Okay. Organism. I can't say that. Okay, let's deal with lead. Okay. Let's deal with lead. So, you're telling me hydrogen flies away from this star. Star explodes. It's got hydrogen in there. It's got lead. It's got whatever. Okay. Now you have this explosion. Presumably a pretty intense force when a star explodes. Probably far more significant than like 1,000 nuclear bombs. It's probably pretty big if you're talking about a star this size exploding, right? Because it's got to be pretty friggin' big star. Presumably much larger than our own star, because it's forming our sun amongst forming the rest of the solar system, right? So now, yeah, you have this crazy, massive, huge star explodes, and in there you got a whole bunch of these different elements, 118 different elements in massive quantities. Hydrogen is being blasted out, and I'm saying they should be blasted out much faster because it's a lighter element than lead. So now how are lead and hydrogen finding themselves in the same nebula? And you want to tell me that the lead has its own gravitational pull. So the helium gets blasted away and then drawn back to the lead because it's got its own gravitational pull. But that would assume that it's still in sufficient proximity that it's going to find its way there. Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? So at a certain point, you think that's too far away. Let me think this through. Unless you're telling me that even from really, 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 really far away, that there's still a gravitational effect. I don't think that that's accurate, though. Like, I don't think the existence of another star that's, let's say, 1 billion light years away from us, that if it vanishes or explodes, that has any influence on our orbit around the sun. Which, in theory, if there was having some sort of impact as far as having gravitational pull, it would have at least some sort of impact. Look on locals for a picture of supernova. Okay. What we got on locals? Okay, that's a supernova. I don't know what that means, though. Maybe I can get Elon to weigh in on this. I need to get him in here. I need Elon in here. I trust him a lot more than Neil Tyson DeGrasse, that's for sure. Hell a lot more. We don't know that bad takes on Law Twitter channel. Sometimes Joe has a bad take on science YouTube. Stars that go supernova are huge, larger than ours. This is not just larger than ours. This is not simply larger than ours. It's got to be the size of our sun, plus Jupiter, plus Earth, plus all the miscellaneous other things throughout our solar system. A broken clock is right twice a day. It's noon, Joe. I assume that you're saying Joe's right. Joe happens to be right on this one. All right. Scale of God is hard to understand why we live on this tiny planet. There's no such thing as light or heavy. It's just mass. Okay. I can grant you that. And therefore, hydrogen flying away from the star would be moving at the same rate as all the other elements flying away from the star. Its mass does not change its speed of movement. Force equals mass times velocity. So if you have a force acting on something that has a greater mass, it will have it'll have a lower velocity. So respectfully, you're mistaken. Physics says you're wrong. Did I So, although now I'm seeing an AI overview, they're saying force equals mass times acceleration, not mass times velocity. So there would be a greater acceleration if it's a smaller mass. Either way, they're not ultimately ending up in the same place. Right? Whatever force the explosion is having. So you have one mass that's significantly greater than another's mass. So the balance would be that the one that has a lower mass has much greater acceleration because they both have the same level of force acting upon it. This is physics. I'm sorry that science is disturbing you. It's getting you upset here. But this is what this is what basic physics says. Cloud of lighter elements from one star traps and pulls in subsequent stars, remains to the point that they collapse into stars. Compounding effect, not all from one star. I see. This is what I expected to happen. This is what I tried addressing when we started this. I said, you're going to try and tell me it's more than one star, Joe. It's more than one star. Okay. I understand, because that's what I thought was going to happen. I thought there were going to be folks like you. I was predicting folks like you coming along. I was like, what are they going to say to me? What are they going to say to me? And what I would say to you on that is when you consider how vast space is, and how far apart these stars are from each other, the notion that set of elements from star A are going to form some sort of nebula or cloud together with elements from cloud B sound about as likely as two blind folks standing 100 yards away from each other and just being told, hey, you each going to fire a bullet, and your goal is to try to make sure those two bullets hit each other. That's about how likely it sounds, because it's so impossible. It sounds so stupid to believe that in the vastness of space, elements that are just sort of hurtling in a direction are just going to magically form together this other big cloud where ultimately all the elements of the world are just going to end up in the same cloud. That sounds crazy. That sounds insane to me. It is the smell that travels. That's true. That's the force. It depends on the size of the mass. And the greater the mass, in that scenario, the greater the acceleration. God damn it, Joe, your bad science takes maybe. When you're missing, it's not just one star doing this. It's millions of stars all over the galaxy. The detritus mixing together over billions of years and several stellar generations before us. Yeah. Okay. So instead of having two blind people shooting bullets, you basically have like 1,000 blind people, 100,000 blind people shooting bullets. How many of those bullets do you think are going to hit each other? Because I'll tell you right now, the answer is 0. 0. None of them. And certainly when you consider you need to have all 118 elements, which are all presumably going at different accelerations. They're all presumably going at different accelerations. They all got to end up, you got to have one cloud that manages to get all of them. All of them. Now, I guess if you have enough of them firing off at the same time in proximity to each other, I guess that could happen. Hard to understand how that would be. Maybe some sort of slingshot thing where all of a sudden the gravitational pull of one would just start affecting the other if they're going slowly enough. I don't know. It sounds pretty stupid. It sounds pretty stupid. It sounds like such a ridiculous reach that like this, to call this like the great discovery sounds insane to me. Gravitational pull is infinite. We can detect gravitational waves millions of light years away. Okay. But is it actually having an impact? Meaning something is traveling away at a certain speed. It's traveling away around at a certain speed. It's got to be slowed down by that thing. You know, the sun has a gravitational effect on Earth, and yet Earth never manages to collide with the sun. Keeps slingshotting around it. But you're telling me that helium is somehow going to magically come on back. It's going to come on back to that lead, as opposed to, I don't know, circling around it. It's going to shooting out there, and then ultimately it's going to come to a stop and start coming back. Really? No. It's not going to be affected by the potassium going in a different direction. Sounds kind of crazy. No, Joe, exponentially larger than our sun. Okay, even being exponentially larger. All that means is you just got larger amounts of elements that are kicking around out there. I don't care if it's the sun multiplied by the sun in size. Space is really big. It's really big. Really big. Joe, gravity has no distance limit, but falls exponentially. Particles nearby will have much higher gravitational force than those far away. That makes sense. Okay, that I agree with you, ZD. It has no distance limit, but falls exponentially. I think you mean pulls exponentially. No, falls? I don't know what you mean by falls exponentially. I agree with you that particles nearby will have a greater force, gravitational force. That makes sense. That's why the Earth has a greater gravitational force on humans than Jupiter. Our star will eventually go supernova. It's going to inflate and swallow all our planets before it explodes. Over millions of years, a nebula will do something. Hold on a second. One old guy's going to sleep soon. Let me get a hold of him. I'll go to sleep after this theory. There is no such thing as theoretical truth. Scientific method is used to test what is true or not true. Since it is theory, then it is not true. Theoretical physics is different to test observable and repeatable physics. That actually makes a lot of sense to me. That makes a lot of sense to me. This I can totally get down with. And this is theoretical physics that they're talking about here. It's like, well, you can't prove that I'm wrong. So like, this is like our working theory. And what I'm saying is this working theory makes no sense. Yeah, you see, physics, we can test here on Earth. And you say, oh, okay, this is how it works. Physics to me makes sense. It's these astrophysicists who are dealing with theoretical physics that it's just like, that doesn't work. There's like all these obvious flaws. Thank you for the generous super chat, guy. Have a good night. We need to play a feather versus billowing ball in a vacuum video. Okay. You want me to pull up feather versus a ball in a vacuum? No, let's just get out of that.
Okay, today to test out my new slow motion camera I got, I'm going to be dropping a feather and a chunk of metal and see if they hit the ground at the same time under a vacuum. So the key to this experiment is dropping them at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the feather to the top of the vacuum chamber with a magnet. So this experiment proves that gravity pulls on everything with the same acceleration. And the reason is because the force that gravity pulls down on you is proportional to the amount of mass in the object. So the more mass an object has, the harder gravity pulls on it. But the more mass it has, the harder it is to move. So what that amounts to is everything is pulled down at the same acceleration due to gravity. But what makes it a little bit messy is that in air, there's also air resistance when things fall. And so you can't really see how everything falls at the same rate. But if you remove that air, then you should be able to see that effect. Okay, first we'll do in-air test. So this is dropping a feather.
The reason you're mistaken about this, Allegan, is because gravity has to act on that force. That's different from a force that's expelling these things out. Notice how in this, and to prove my point to you, Allegan, okay, what would most people commonly assume to happen? They would assume that the bowling ball would land before the feather, right? It's heavier, so you assume it would fall faster. And the point being that if you remove wind resistance, they're going to fall at the exact same speed. That's the point. But why is it? He just explained to you why that is. Because it's harder for it to act on, for it to start pulling that thing. So that's why they end up going at the exact same speed. That is very different from a situation where we would expect that if you shoot two things out and one of them is heavy and one of them is light, that the heavy one is not going to go as far as the light one. It's going to go slower than the light one. That's not at all the same thing as gravity in a vacuum. Nice try, though. Look up how gravity is calculated. Gravity is not the same. The explosion from supernova creates heavy metals and elements. That's what they're claiming. No, they're saying that they're already there in the star and that they explode outward. Not from the explosion, but they're formed in the star and then explode out from the star. That's what Neil Tyson deGrasse said in his video. You just bastardized F equals MA. Sorry, Joe. You just don't understand astrophysics. Also, stars are far apart, yet close enough to make galaxies. Okay. What's the point? How did I bastardize F equals MA? I'm sorry. The way I understand it to be is MA is mass times acceleration. Now, if you think that it's mass plus acceleration or something, that I would think there should be a plus in there. But my recollection from physics is mass times acceleration. The Jew beepers were real science, not this theory. There you go. There you go. There you go. People think they're going to argue science with a Jew. The universe is amazing. When I look at it, I think God's amazing for creating the physics to allow us to exist. Oh, yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. You made a good point. Look up Oort Cloud. Also, I feel like you're just baiting us for money at this point. I'm not. Somehow helium is amazing joke because it floats in a balloon, so it's a magical element that flies faster than every other element and doesn't deserve the restrictions of physics. That's not what I'm saying, Allegan. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. But you're sitting here pretending that gravitational pull is the same as expulsion from an exploding star, and that doesn't make sense either. New Year's Eve is 7:31 at midnight because Sirius, the brightest star in this sky, is at its highest point in the sky in the northern hemisphere at that time. That's possibly true. Makes sense. Not sure what I'm supposed to get from that. One more, Joe. More or less, all elements heavier than iron have formed from supernova. I don't have a week to teach you enough about fusion to get it. All right. It is super chatteration. I get very interested in these things. I see something, I'm like, that makes no sense. This is not logical. I'm sure like someone's gonna pop along and try walking me through their bastardized explanation of this whole thing. But when you start talking to me about like pretending that the force that because it's harder for gravity to act on the bowling ball, that's why it ends up falling the same speed as the lighter feather. So I'm like, okay, that's fine, but that's That's not what's happening here. That's explaining why it doesn't end up coming. It doesn't end up getting down there faster. But that also doesn't negate force equals mass times acceleration. And if mass is bigger, acceleration is going to be lower. Can one of you explain to me where I'm wrong on F equals ma? And since F equals ma, if it's a greater m, you're going to have a lower a. This is just when it's coming from the same force. This to me is like, this is basic. This is, I didn't even think that was controversial what I was saying. I was like, that's something we can all agree on here. You can go to your Grok, ask Grok. Ask Grok. Ask Grok. Let me see what's going on locals. Make sure I'm not missing. The ghetto. So keep pulling up this stupid thing. Watch Kurzgesagt in a nutshell. Watch Kurzgesagt. What's Kurzgesagt? All right, let me catch up on the rants because there's been a bunch of rants here. Let me see what you all ranting about. People mad at me. Let me check out the rants. Get your jab, Joe, because of the sun. There's no jabby jab here. Hey, Joe. There's this chemistry teacher, Jewish guy, who wrote 1,270 books, who wrote easily understood essays and books about this. Also, try title equals understanding physics. I can't take it anymore. I'm sorry, TX47. F, I forgot to include the writer name, Isaac Asimov. Try Life and Energy as a start. See, reading sounds like work. But I am curious about this Kurzgesagt. 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 In a nutshell. Wait. Apparently that's a channel with 2 million viewers.
Humans are apes with smartphones, living on a tiny moist rock which is speeding around a burning sphere 1,000,000 times bigger than itself. But our star is only 1 in billions in the Milky Way, which itself is only 1 in billions of galaxies. Everything around us is filled with complexity, but usually we don't notice because being a human takes up a lot of time. So we try to explain the universe and our existence one video at a time. What?
Okay. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. I don't know where to there's a lot of videos here. This does look like an interesting channel, so appreciate you calling that to my attention. All right. F equals ma means if you punch someone, there's more force if you're bigger or accelerating faster. Not that crap moves slower because it's bigger. I've done math before, so I know that you can move things around in the equation. So you're telling me mass times acceleration will equal force, but force doesn't have to always equal mass. Same force does not have to equal mass times acceleration. And I'm the idiot. At this rate, Joe will be a flat Earth in 2 years. No, I think flat Earth is kind of stupid. I don't understand. I didn't understand the argument of flat Earth. Okay. Right. Somebody pulls at 32 feet per second per second. I just pulled this. I'm not going to kid you when I came up with the F equals ma, because I was looking up force equals mass times velocity, which is what I thought it was, and I got this. That statement is incorrect. According to Newton's second law of motion, force equals mass times acceleration, not mass times velocity. Product of mass and velocity is called momentum. Force represent F equals the push or pull. So you have one explosion having force of X on both the lead and the hydrogen. There's more matter in the lead, which means that the rate of change of velocity on the hydrogen is going to be greater. Which means that its speed should, in theory, keep accelerating. Well, I'm not sure how that would work, to be honest with you. You gotta think that through. I don't know how that would work in space. It's not a continuous force acting on it. It's one initial force. I'm a little confused about that. I'm not sure about that part. And that's why I know that, like, you know, like Drop Barracuda here is implying that, like, I'm or someone else said, like, I'm trying to chat bait. I don't throw stuff out science-wise to try and, well, I'm just gonna, like, I'm never being intentionally stupid about, like, science. I know a lot of you think that no, Joe knows better, but he's just like pretending not to get it. And I'm telling you now, if I think I don't get something, I'll be like, yeah, I don't really understand that. So when, like, you know, so I'll tell you, like, hey, I don't really understand the notion of how acceleration would be different from velocity in a context of something that's being shot into space. When you consider that a body in motion will continue in motion, so how would it be accelerating once it's emitted from the initial force? So I can tell you I don't understand that. As opposed to if I was trying to chat bait you, I would just make something up. And then, you know, get corrected on it. But I'm actually just sharing with you what my thoughts are on science in general. So yeah, I'm not sure how the squared here would have much of an impact on the fact that the A is going to be significantly bigger if the M is smaller. And that will result in it being further away. And the longer it spends, the greater the time period that passes from the explosion, the further away that lighter element will be from the heavier element. And to me, this is pretty obvious. I'm kind of surprised that I have to explain this. Anyway, I'm gonna be wrapping up here. It's time. No, I was kidding about baiting Joe. We know you're science intolerant. Squeezgar. The pressure wave moving through this star has a set velocity. Once all the matter is accelerated to that velocity, it no longer accelerates. Past certain points, all moving the same speed. Okay, now this is interesting thought. Okay. I'm trying to grasp what you're saying here. This is how I'm trying to just visualize what you're saying. So this force that's exploding outward, what you're trying to say to me, I think, is this. Instead of just looking at it as being some pocket of air or something like that, let's pretend that the force was an ever-expanding bowling ball. And it's expanding at a certain speed. So once it's expanding, so it's going faster and faster and faster, and it starts pushing out on all these different things. So now everything is sort of sitting on the face of that ball. So whatever speed it's expanding outward at, all of the elements will be moving at that same speed. But once that force is no longer acting, though, let's assume this was accurate here. So once that force is no longer acting, so now would the lighter things be going faster, or they're all already traveling at the same speed? Huh. That's an interesting thought. That's an interesting thought. I gotta think of that one more. See, I was just looking at it as just sort of like a. But you're saying like it's a continually expanding, faster, pushing outward. So it's almost like it's riding this wave of force. I gotta think on that one. That's an interesting thought. It sounds like everyone arguing here accepts the theoretical physics, biology, anthropology extra as truth. They will always believe you are wrong because theory is truth. Scientism is religion, and they have their zealots. Well, to be fair to my audience here, old guy, appreciate Jack. Appreciate the super chat. To be fair to them, I don't think that most people who are in my audience watching my show here hear a scientific theory and just accept it without trying to vet it, critically analyze it. I think that they are willing to critically analyze, and that's really the important distinction. Whether it's just I'm spitting back what I'm being told, or whether they're willing to engage in critical analysis. It's the ones who don't engage in critical analysis who, I agree with you, treat science like a religion. There's nothing wrong with saying, okay, let's accept this theory for now, but be willing to reject it if it can be just, if questions are raised on it. That's how science kind of works. I think you agree with that. And I think most of my audience have, like, for example, most of my audience, I think, agree with me that climate change is a hoax. That doesn't mean you start with an assumption that everything that's introduced is a hoax. You recognize that some things are just theories that, difficult to prove when situated here on Earth. I don't like Neil deGrasse Tyson, but he's right on this. He's bad in his political takes, but you're wrong in this take. That's what you've been saying. Autocorrected on my phone is pissing me off. Acceleration is not the same as velocity. I know it's not. And I can recognize that acceleration is the rate of change of velocity. That's what my internet. That's what the internet's told me. See, acceleration is the rate of change of velocity. So why wouldn't there be a greater rate of change of velocity if it's a lower mass? That's what you haven't really been able to answer. I'm trying to think whether Squeeze Guard answered that here. That's what I'm sort of torn about. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything over in locals. I got the rants. Thank you, Neurodivergent. I was hoping some elemental man was about to happen. I think I got to all the rants. I definitely covered TX47, who was not happy with me, and I covered Ramelon. Yeah, we're good. I appreciate that. If anyone sent anything before Ramelon, wait, did I miss something up top? What's happening? I think I got everything. All right. I think it's time for me to start landing this plane. It's time. I'm feeling tired. All right. Well, if you have thoughts on this, please make sure you leave a comment below. One last final reminder, not going to be streaming tomorrow night, not streaming Wednesday night, not streaming Thursday night, not streaming Friday night. Hopefully we'll be back here on Saturday night. I thank you all for joining me. I'm going to try and do a locals tomorrow. Kind of a busy day for me because I have like a party that I sort of make in honor of my mother tomorrow for friends and stuff like that. So it's a small party. I'm going to see if I can do it. If I do, it'll be early afternoon. I'm going to try because otherwise I don't know when I'm going to do it this week. So I'm going to try to do a locals tomorrow. Look out for that at goodlogic.locals.com. While you're here, if you can please make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment, algorithm, all that other great stuff. I would be most appreciative because it does help with the algorithm. And you know how and we're all we here in the YouTube spheres and in the Rumble spheres are so utterly dependent on the algorithm. So if you can help me out in that regard, I would be most obliged. Those of you enjoying the holiday, have a great one. Those of you who are, it's just a regular Wednesday night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday for you. Hope that goes well for you. Take care of yourselves. Look out for your loved ones. I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for you. I highly recommend that you don't, no matter how you're celebrating or not this week, don't celebrate with lamb meat. That's like they make diamonds in lab. You don't know what they're making. You don't know what it is. Don't eat lamb meat. Never, never, never. And of course, never, never. They're crawling on the ground. They're all over each other. Don't eat the bugs. Don't eat the bugs. Have a good night. As always, Godspeed.